Thank you for joining me for this episode. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Dr. Kayla Volkert. We're going to be speaking about growing your practice from scratch and unique marketing methods on the OI Show. Thanks again for joining us. I am excited to be here with Kayla Volkert, and Kayla and I know each other from almost 10 years ago when
Mhm.
she was in optometry school. And now we're circling back and getting to re-engage with each other. And I was just sharing with her, but I stumbled upon her social media and how she's crushing it in her practice and doing some cool things with marketing and so forth. And so it's awesome to have you on the podcast and get reacquainted with you. How's the year starting off for you?
It's been really a strong year. So this is my third year since I cold started. And I feel like we're finally hitting our stride.
Wow.
So I'm feeling the fruits of my labors. And yeah, it's going great.
Yeah. So you graduated, and we were just talking about this 2017 and 2018, you were getting going. Walk us through the couple of
Journey?
years leading
Yeah.
to post-COVID and then being like, let's go out
Yeah.
and get cold and
Yeah.
start on our own.
So even further back than that in optometry school, I was like super passionate about private practice. I like knew that was what I wanted to do. So like
Mhm.
I invested all my time during school in private practice club and meeting different industry leaders and different things. And then when I graduated, my boyfriend at the time became my fiance, and he was on the MD program, so residency and fellowship. And so I kind of had to follow him along with his career. So he got matched in residency somewhere in South Carolina, and we're
Mm.
Northeast people. So I had a couple different optometry jobs right out of optometry school doing private practice. I worked kind of like in a high-end optical boutique as like the doctor in the back,
I see.
and kind of did a bunch of years where I was like just working for other people. And then finally he got matched for fellowship back up in the Northeast, and we kind of like I think it was the same week. Maybe he found out on a Thursday. And by Saturday, I had a call out to eye care advisors, and I was like, we're moving to Pennsylvania. I want to start my practice. What's the next step? And so as soon as we did that, then it took probably a year and a half to scope a location, do the build out, all the things, and then finally opened my practice in fall of 22, 22. Yeah,
Okay. All
yeah,
right. What did that year and a half look like? Were you working somewhere else
yeah.
in that process?
So the hardest thing ever was leaving my last job in Charleston and having to tell this place that I committed and loved that I had to leave. So I was like, I don't want to do that again to another like small
Mm.
office. So I got a bunch of part-time gigs. So
Hmm.
I was VisionWorks, Four Eyes, and Warby Parker. And I had kind of flex schedule with all of them, but I made a full-time schedule out of all of it. And once I opened my doors, I still worked a lot of those places, but on
Hmm.
my own terms. So I think I was at my practice seeing patients maybe only 2 or 3 days a week, but we were open 5 days. And then we would get a little busier, and I'd drop off like one of the chain places, and then a little busier yet and drop off again. And like until I think maybe a year of doing that, did I finally go full time at my office.
What do you think, had you opened cold right out of school? What do you
Hmm.
think that the years of working in other practices taught you? Like, what
Oh
tools
my
do you
gosh.
think that you gained? I mean, you were kind of in business school, but
Yeah.
not having to be on it your own. And I did the same thing, and I thought that
Yeah.
was valuable. What do you think you learned in that
Oh
process?
yeah. I mean, um, so much. The last place I worked, didn't have any of the medical optometry that I wanted to practice,
Uh-huh.
but it had all of the optical boutique that I wanted. So I
Oh,
learned like opticianry, like nothing else, and how to do the customer service side of glasses. And she was selling $2,000, $3,000 pairs of glasses, and I learned how to deal with that clientele.
mm-hmm.
And so there was that part of it. And then prior to that, I was at some more like private practices, kind of like ideal setup to what I'm doing, which is routine care, but with a medical emphasis, right? And what did I learn the most from that? Just systems, right? Like,
Hmm.
um, and how to
Process.
talk to people, how to
Yep.
talk to people when your name and reputation is on the line, like how to talk to your patients.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of feeds over into how I'm sure you set up your practice. So as you were envisioning what the future of your practice was, and you're like, we're starting today, 5 years
Hmm.
from now, this is what my I want my practice to look like.
Hmm.
What was the difference between the I have to build it over 5 years, but this is where I want it to be like? What was the dream practice?
Yeah. So I wanted the luxury boutique. I wanted myopia management and a dry eye spa. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, how do I do this? Specialty contacts as well. And just how do I do this? Where do I do this that I can be successful in that? Because that might not work every place, right? You have to have a demographic with some more disposable income. So I
Mm-hmm.
picked the main line in outside of Philly. It's a well-known area for having some of like the most affluent Northeast individuals. And I scoped out the competition, and there really was nothing for how affluent this area is. There really was nothing that stood out to me like a place, even as a patient, that I would want to go to. So I was like, hit it. That's where we're gonna go.
Mm-hmm. Uh, in that process, did you make decisions about insurance and private pay, and how
Mhm.
did you look at that, as well as cash flow, and how long did you project before you were cash flow
Mhm.
positive, and insurance, like all that stuff fits into that discussion, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to go into where I want to take you in our conversation. But um, I take from the day I opened, I took every single insurance, all
Yeah.
of them. And we have some really crappy local plans. But I took them all just to get butts in the door. The moment patients walk in this place, like it's a boutique, you feel spa-like. Uh, you get them hooked just from the atmosphere, but then they meet myself and the staff and the whole experience, and they're hooked. So, like, we've actually been able to scale back. I dropped a couple of the crappier plans for vision insurance. And so now I just take Davis, VSP, and IMED, and I'm getting ready to drop one of those in the next couple of months.
Mhm.
So my 5-year plan is to be totally private pay. Part of my um, learning curve in being a cold start practice owner is those insurance checks that you get are sometimes negative checks because you have to pay for lab fees and the lenses, and it what you collect from the patient, you often get less than that because of what the
Mhm.
insurance then takes back from you. So those chargebacks. And so I was like, every month we'd be earning more. People are buying, buying, buying. My patients are happy. I'm happy practicing the way I want. I've got all the frame lines I want, the environment, but the numbers are not making sense. Like we're still like we're working harder, 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 and not as every bit of growth in the revenue, so did all the costs.
Yeah.
And so I was like, how do I break free of this? And always had wanted this dry eye clinic, wanted to do the treatments for the benefit of my patients,
Mhm.
but needed some way to break free from this vision plan without having to lose a volume of patients right from the
Yep.
jump.
Yeah, so you're able to take your existing patients and convert them over without um, tapping into the vision side of things
Yeah.
in the vision care. So the ad of the spa, like what is the spa? You specifically, I think you
Mhm.
call it the spa, right? Have a
Yeah.
spa in the name. What does that what does that look like in
Hmm.
comparison to what you had before? Because you were treating dry eye, but like,
Yeah.
how does it how would that change? What is included in that?
Really, I when I did my build out, I reserved a room that was going to be like a tr dry eye treatment room.
Hmm.
And before that, um, before I launched the spa at Sea Lobby,
Hmm.
I was just doing like tear care and manual expression in
Hmm.
my exam lane. And then Luminous came out with the Opti Lift last year. And I had this interest in some cosmetic improvements like people are getting from the IPL. And when the Opti Lift came out, I was like, ooh, I want that. And so that actually triggered me to start having a conversation with them about not just the Opti Lift, but is now the right time for Opti Light and Opti Lift. And so we kind of packaged that and brought it in August. And I built out that room, basically just a spa chair. Got lots of faux plants because I can't keep anything alive, but it looks like really nice and, spa-like. And then music and, there's aromatherapy going. And so
Uh-huh.
I'm doing the same treatments that we're all doing, IPL and radio frequency and stuff, but in a setting that feels really like a med spa.
Hmm. Hmm. So how do you position it to your patients? Are you positioning the aesthetic benefit or only the dry eye benefit when you're converting them? Are you saying to a non-dry eye patient who maybe needs a little tightening, hey, we have this
Mhm.
treatment, or are you reserving it under the dry eye only?
I'm Like a smart tip for everyone is like getting it from the patient, right? Like you
Hmm.
want to be able to say it then in their own words. So in my intake questionnaire, I have a question that has um, cosmetic concerns and it has a list of bags under the eyes, wrinkles around the eyes, red eyes, like it goes on. And they just check off. They might even check the option that says, I'm interested in preventative cosmetic solutions, or nothing, you know. So I'm screening for it. That way I can say to them, and this is what I usually say, is I noticed that on your intake form, we ask a question about some cosmetic stuff. I noticed you checked off this thing. Like, can I tell you a little bit more about what services we have to help treat that? And
Hmm.
some of them are like, "Oh, I didn't realize I checked that," and then some of them are like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I've done XYZ at my plastic surgeon, and I'm really struggling with this." And um, my conversation is usually the reason I love these treatments is because they're going to improve your function in a way that is healthy and safe for your eyes, but because they'll be healthy, they'll look better. So it's not going to do what an upper blepharoplasty does. It's not going to be anything like that, but because they're healthy, they'll look better. And so I
Hmm.
kind of like always tie it back to the like underlying why they maybe have that cosmetic concern. But I'd say like maybe I would say 70% of my patients do the treatments for dry eye, and maybe another
Sure.
30% are like leaning with the aesthetic part first.
Hmm. Hmm. That's and then you've from the get-go created this spa-like type of atmosphere. So how did you work through figuring out what your pricing
That's a great
strategies were
point.
going to be? Did you
Yeah,
do packages? Do you do
yeah.
individualized treatments? Do you combine OptiLift and
Hmm.
OptiLight? Like
Hmm.
walk through the, man, I got to pencil this out. I've got expensive
Yeah.
equipment to pay for, and I still am
Hmm.
trying to pay rent.
The way I did it was, you take what the manufacturer recommends. When I launched, I think, I set my prices what I wanted them to be, and I do 1,500 for a package of OptiLight and then 1,500 for a package of OptiLift. And when I was first starting out, I had a list of patients I've talked to about this, like, hey, when I bring this on, I'm going to reach out to you because I know you'll be a great candidate. So I had probably 20 people on that wait list who got the initial treatment for half off. And then once I hit my 20 patients, then I started doing just $500 off each. And then by the beginning of this year, I was going like full price for people. And it made me apprehensive. The first person, I still remember when I told them the full price, I was like, just had to zip my, and just listen and wait for them to give me the response. Um, because
Uh-huh.
it feels like a big number.
It does. It does. Yes. But it feels like a much bigger number to us than many of our patients,
Yeah.
right? And so I think
Yeah.
we're the biggest barrier. Do you do a combo if you're going to do both of them together, or is it just
Yeah.
same price for both?
Yeah. So I don't do any di additional discount if they get both therapies. It's just an additional price.
1 plus 2. Yep, one plus
Mhm.
one. Yep, got it.
Yeah.
And what is kind of the breakdown of who does both,
Mhm.
and when do you decide to do
Mhm.
one versus the other?
Yeah, I have some patients, so depends kind of how long they've been struggling with it, it seems, or where they're getting how they're coming to me. So what's been surprising is that um probably probably only half of these patients doing it are existing patients of mine. I've gotten a lot of referrals from ophthalmology, some oculoplastics places, some cataract surgeons. And then I took a risk and invested in a PR campaign.
Mm,
So I ended up spending an enormous amount. It was like $8,000 on like a 3-month PR campaign. But what they got me was a publication that was written as a information, not an ad, but like
mhm,
in our local magazine called Mainline Today. So they wrote it up as like, hey, the first ever eye spa in Philadelphia region or whatever. And then they also got me on a local news segment where the TV host came out and saw a treatment being done, and that was on like a morning news segment. So I've gotten a lot of people coming saying, I saw you on the news about this spa, and like they come for their consult with me. They're convinced, like I don't have to sell them on anything. They're here
mhm.
because they want that treatment. The prices are all on my website. The whole thing's like listed there. So they come and they just want to make sure they're a good candidate and they're like, when can I get in? So that has been a really good investment.
Oh,
Yes,
you would do it again.
totally.
Yep,
Totally.
yep.
Yeah. But it was a
That's
scary price to pay as a
because you
cold
didn't
start.
know what the outcome was going to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's kind of setting you out. How do you going about getting these referrals from cataract surgeons and oculoplastics? How are those
Yeah.
coming in?
How do I? Let's think. When I first opened the spa, so just a few months ago, I made a really nice folder. I put like a little custom cookie that said "C'est la vie" on it and a bunch of brochures and things. And I just, went around town and passed them out. And sometimes I got to talk to a doctor, and sometimes it just got left at the front desk. But yeah, that's been helpful. And just having good relationships like that I've built over other referrals, like sending people for cataracts and my retina specialist and different things. Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
like all of that. I think all the years before I launched this fall, that effort was important too.
absolutely. Yeah, it all tends to compound, right?
Mhm.
But if you get too anxious right away, you get discouraged. And
Yeah.
so it seems like you've got the long haul approach. How have you gone about conveying the um, the spa type of atmosphere, the high level of customer service uh, to through your team? So you're
Hmm.
training people, you're working with your team to convey that. You're in the back in the exam room, but somebody walks in and they didn't get the training that you got from this optical place
Yeah,
down,
right.
right? So how did you work to hire that process and train that process?
Yeah. Not everyone has that.
Mm-mm.
It's like I think as owners we have this expectation that everyone thinks like us, and that's not true. So I've
Mhm.
been through a few different staff iterations, but the team I've got now is awesome, and they're all naturally inclined to be that kind of friendly face.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's a couple things. I think you walk in, it's a different environment. We've got an old building with original wood floors, and it's more homey. We've got plants out front. I have other people keep those ones alive. And when you first walk in, my front desk says, hi, how are you? And she checks them in, confirms their information, shows them where they can have a seat or browse, and then she offers them something from our beverage fridge. And we've got like all these fun things like La Colombe canned coffees, we've got Spindrift and soda, and it's nice. Like when my grandma was from the Midwest, and every time you walked into her house, she'd say, can I get you some pop? You know? And that was like just, it's a homey kind of thing whenever someone comes to your home. Can I get you something to drink? And just that little touch makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So many people have been in practice a lot longer than you or I, and they maybe are having this practice where it's continually to be driven in this insurance type of world. So a
Yeah.
lot of the people that we talk to, Bridget and I, are trying to go to that next level of doing something different. You
Yeah.
had that from the start. So, what are some things you would suggest to people who have been doing the grind? And what are the things that they're going to encounter, the obstacles, the things that they're fearful of that are true, but
Yeah.
hopefully will come out the other side? What would you suggest and say to those
Cool.
people?
Yeah, it's tough. It's why I was motivated to do a cold start, because not
Hmm.
because of like um there's a ton of amazing doctors out there and they're running things very well, but you have to like train your patients to do what, like to know your way, right?
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I had lots of patients who weren't a good fit for me because they didn't like my way. And so it, you have to have a mindset that you're gonna lose people who are not a good fit for this new thing you want to do. Um, some of my patients would be happier if they just got their inexpensive exam at Warby Parker, because that's what they're seeking. But for the people who do care, and I imagine docs who've been practicing a long time, like their patients have been coming to them for years. They trust them, like trust them fully. You know what I mean? Like they would never
Hmm.
consider going anywhere else. And so like if you're introducing new technology and your patients like you and trust you, like they might give you pushback and you'll lose the ones that you don't want anyway. And then you'll be
Hmm.
doing more what you want to do. I don't know. It's easy to say because I've got like a whole career ahead of me and I'm like, I'm just going to do this and, reap deal with the consequences of it. I have a
Yeah.
time to rebound if it doesn't work out, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Well, so, I echo what you say, and having been in this for a while longer than you, I would agree that there are some patients, they're just not the right fit. And we have to be okay with that, right? We can't be
yeah.
all things to all people. And
Mhm.
the beautiful thing about our profession is we do have, like as you said, we have the full range. We have America's Best, Vision Works, we have Warby Parker, and each of these different kind of has a different personality.
Mhm.
And we're all optometrists that give care at these places, but just based upon the services and the time and
Mhm.
the optical or whatever it is that we provide, there's going to be a different atmosphere and a different
Mhm.
setting for that. And somebody who's looking for quick refraction, want my glasses, and I'm in and out, probably is not the right fit for those of us who are like, we want to work on prevention. We want to be
Yes.
focusing on, talking with you about your care and your health, right? My naturopath's a good friend of mine, and she's like, you know what? I see these patients who want me to like give them a magic pill, and it's the medication
Yeah.
that fixes them. She's like, I'm
Yeah.
in the world of prevention. Like, we're gonna, you want to lose a whole bunch of weight, we're gonna have to change some things. I can't just, solve all of your problems with a pill.
Yeah.
And so it's all across healthcare, is like we need to be as
Mhm.
clinicians seeing the patients that match our personality and that we're able to best
Yeah.
serve, because we're serving people poorly if we're trying to force our way upon them and we're not the right fit. Like we really need to find a way to help move them along. And sometimes we do
Yeah.
that by having things cost a little bit more. Sometimes we do
Mhm.
that by being like, you know what, maybe we're not the right fit for you. And my
Yeah.
friend down the street where I used to practice
Yeah.
at Warby Parker would be a better fit for you, right? And that's
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. But it's
Exactly.
difficult when you're struggling to make money and your revenue per
Mhm.
encounter is really low. Maybe your revenue per encounter is $200 or $300
Yeah.
on average.
You're afraid to lose those
And,
people.
bringing in a medical service, a spa treatment or bringing
Mhm.
in specialty contact lenses or myopia management would raise that. But you're busy every single day of the week. You can't just turn that on and off. Some you might have to
Right.
drop an insurance to
Hmm.
get those people to leave to open up space so that you can then grow. But it's a
Yeah.
challenge. It's a challenge to get outside of yourself in some ways, which is why a cold start's easier in that arena.
Yeah.
I'm not brave enough to do it. I've always bought clinics and then converted them, which takes
Uh-huh.
longer. I don't get
Yep.
to pick the plants that I buy, right? I kill them as well. But it's a journey regardless either way. And
Mhm.
your my good friend Kelly, who's an optometrist in the St. Louis area, said that you have to practice the way you want to practice and teach your patients
Mhm.
to be seen the way that you want to see. Because it would be horrible for us to change the way we practice to match
Yeah.
all of the patients, right?
Yeah.
So I commend you in doing it the right way from the beginning. That's very,
Yeah.
very good. Yeah, good. Any other closing thoughts that you want somebody to be encouraged by in doing what you've
Yeah.
done?
I think you know, it is a roller coaster ride owning your own practice, and you learn a lot just trial by fire.
Mm-hmm.
My whole philosophy since I opened was just got to keep the faith. And like, sure
Keep the
enough,
faith.
I have bad days. And on those bad days, I think, okay, I got to keep the faith. And then sure enough, a few days later, we have an amazing revenue day and the patients are lovely and I'm enjoying it and my staff is happy and the bank account looks happy.
Mm-hmm.
So just keeping that, that mindset
Yeah,
is tough. But
yeah, it'll come. Good.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
story and great insights. And it's always good to hear that somebody else is either going through or has gone through something that you're aspiring to. And I love it. It's absolutely awesome. There's a couple takeaways that I think I'll be able to apply and push for. And some of it's, looking at our area, our aesthetic suite. There's some things
Hmm.
that we have in there that make it look a little nicer. You gave me some good ideas in how to do that. I also like the discussion on the PR. That's a really good area to,
Yeah.
we've invested money in places that it didn't work. And so I think we become nervous to do something new and
I
different,
know.
but I think we kind of
Yeah.
continue to try to push the envelope
Yeah.
um, and pushing for those things. So thank you for sharing your story.
Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And thank you for joining me for this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for future episodes of the OI Show.